only are we in the universe, the universe is in us. We are stardust. So says astrophysicist and Cosmos host Neil deGrasse Tyson. What a grand thought, that we are all just connected to one another, to the world and to the universe, through the very thing that makes us who we are, makes us exist in this world, the atoms and molecules inside us. They're the same atoms and molecules that were born inside stars throughout the universe. What a grand thought! But what do we do with it? What does it mean? Is there some sort of wisdom that we can take from these concepts that will help us and guide us in our day-to-day life? I think so. And I think we can use this cosmic perspective to reach for the stars inside ourselves and one another, to enrich our brief time on this earth by pursuing knowledge, happiness, and purpose. Now, the knowledge part is easy. It's concrete, it's something you can pursue on your own. You can learn more about the world you live in and find out more about yourself. Getting to know other peoples and other cultures lets you know more not only about them, but it gives you insight into yourself. And even learning about your own family and heritage can be very informative. For example, I recently found out that the Mexican side of my family actually is from Liberty, Texas, before it was even Liberty, Texas, back when it was still Mexico. I always thought we were from northern Mexico. I thought we were from Monterrey, which is a very nice city, which is where most of my family lives now. And it just completely changed the way I feel about Texas. So I always thought my roots were in Mexico, a completely different culture, which I love, and a completely different country, which I love and have visited often. But just knowing that so many generations of my family have lived and died in Texas, when previously I thought that wasn't the case, just made me feel that much more connected to it. Each person in my family who was there before me just made me feel more connected to where I am now and the country that I'm in now. And another aspect of my Mexican culture that I didn't know was different until my fiance asked me to explain it. Because you live in your crazy family and you think your crazy family is what everyone else's crazy family is like. He asked me to explain, Elena, how are you exactly related to all your cousins? Before that, I'd never given it a second thought that I know my second and third and whatever removed cousins, and see them often at our big, loud, colorful family get-togethers. In fact, 3 of my 4 bridesmaids are distantly removed cousins. I'd never given it a second thought until he asked me about it. And I thought, you know what, you're right. In your family, you don't know your second cousins. You don't know your third cousins. Can you even tell me their names? And it just made me that much more grateful. And it made me appreciate the family I have that much more. Because it isn't common. It isn't what everyone else has. And there are just so many different connections and relationships, and we're all interwoven into one another, sometimes a little too much, but that's what happens with a big family. And if we can gain so much from just knowing ourselves, then how much will we get from knowing other people, other cultures, and the science behind our world and the universe, which is something I really enjoy watching the Cosmos show for, because I learned so much I didn't know before, because I'm no astrophysicist. And just knowing that a little bit of the universe is inside each of us is completely mind-blowing. Inside this room, there's a little piece of the universe in each one of us. And next comes happiness, which can be a little tricky, even though it seems simple. It seems like, oh, I can just choose to be happy. If I'm cold, I can go outside and take a walk on a sunny day, which I do when my office gets really cold because it's not temperature regulated, because it used to be a closet. And, if I'm choosing to make these choices to make myself happier, I can also choose to eliminate negative people. And I do think that sometimes this is necessary. It can be difficult, but I do think it's necessary. And I had an experience like this with actually one of my cousins. Not the second or third cousin, but a first cousin. We were really close growing up, and when we got into our teenage years, her life became very negative, tumultuous, and cyclical, to be honest. And I was ready to pursue my life. I was ready to go to college, and I was ready to try new things and be a new person. And I just had to let that relationship distance, because I couldn't take it with me. I couldn't take that negativity with me. And she was not showing any signs that she was willing to move past that negativity either. However, that's not often the case. While in college, I did make friends with a girl, and before I realized it, our relationship was getting together and complaining about all the negative things in our lives. So one negative relationship to another, right? But once I realized this, I decided to meet all of her negative complaints with positivity. And whenever I spoke about my own life, even if I was having trouble, let's say I was a little bit late on that assignment, I still tried to look at the positive. And before I knew it, it had rubbed off on her. And we were able to move past just getting together and having a complaint fest about whatever was wrong with our lives, or whatever we thought was wrong with our lives. And we moved on to talk about more meaningful things, things that actually made us think and contemplate about our lives and our role in our lives and the lives of the people around us. And in that case, we were both able to lift up out of that negativity into positivity and find something new that worked better for us. However, long-term happiness comes from inside you. It doesn't come from choosing not to be with that negative person, although it can be a side effect. Sometimes you just need to live your life with purpose and love. Find whatever it is in your life that gives you purpose. It could be volunteering, it could be spirituality, it could be family. And just approach it with gusto and do whatever it is that you want to do with love. Because in looking for these external sources of happiness, we hinge our emotional state on something completely outside of us and beyond our control. If, like I said, I get happy when I take a walk on a sunny day, does that mean by default I'm sad when it's rainy? It's completely arbitrary, and we're focusing a big part of ourselves on something that has nothing to do with our internal self. And the same holds true for hinging your happiness on, say, professional success or some other achievement. Not to say that you should try, but just don't make it the source of your happiness. And when happiness is something inside you and you integrate it and internalize it, all those things that used to bother you just kind of melt away. Or if they do bother you, it's not as much as it was before. And sometimes even those things that we love can turn into an obligation when we find ourselves having smaller and smaller amounts of free time. For example, my fiance and I, as Richard mentioned, are getting married. And we're planning the wedding, and neither one of us expected how much goes into planning a wedding. And before we knew it, not only did we have this huge list of things to do, we were getting bombarded with expectations and disapprovals in some cases from various people in our family. And at one point I was like, can we just elope? Really? Seriously? And then we took a step back and we thought about why we were doing this, why we took on this massive undertaking of a wedding. And we remembered it's because we love each other and we want to celebrate our love on that day with our family and friends. And at the end of the day, we'll be married, and that's something we want. And that turned every tiny little, what color should our napkins be? Do we need to have a DJ? Do I need to have a veil? Every single decision just became happier and one that we did with joy because we changed our focus. And taking all of these things together with a cosmic perspective that we are all connected to one another, to the world, and to everything in existence, can just make every aspect of our life that much better. So remember, fill your life with purpose, your mind with knowledge, and your heart with love. And keep reaching for those stars that are inside all of us.